Powered by the Montana Television Network. Montana This Morning continues on Montana's News Leader.
President Trump has officially kicked off his 2020 campaign. I'm Laura Podesta with details from yesterday's rally in Orlando and how Democrats are responding to the president's words.
I'm Emma Hamilton reporting in Bozeman, where the school board has named its next superintendent of Bozeman Public Schools.
Well, 3 months ago to the day, part of the Bogart Pavilion shell collapsed, yet it still looks the same. Why?
We'll have that story for you in just a moment. Top story for you here with a vow to keep America great. President Trump officially kicked off his 2020 campaign in Florida last night. Laura Podesta reports from New York for CBS News.
Keep America great.
President Trump made it official last night, kicking off his 2020 re-election bid at a packed rally in Orlando.
I stand before you to officially launch my campaign for a second term as President of the United States.
The president hit on some of the same themes he used during his successful 2016 campaign, including illegal immigration.
The Democrat agenda of open borders is morally reprehensible.
The 75-minute speech earned rave reviews from most of the 20,000 in attendance.
What I wanted to hear was 4 more years, and it gives me chills just thinking about it again. It was fantastic.
I thought it was a great beginning to a great re-election campaign. I think he's done an amazing job so far, and the sky's the limit.
One of Mr. Trump's potential 2020 opponents, Senator Bernie Sanders, had a different reaction.
I just had the extremely unpleasant experience of actually watching Donald Trump in action for an hour and a half. Wow. And that was certainly something.
Sanders said the president ignored two of the biggest issues facing the country: climate change and income inequality. Laura Podesta, CBS News.
President Trump stayed overnight in Miami and will attend another fundraiser there today before returning to the White House. Chet returns back to the desk now.
Yep.
And we keep talking about it. It's a lovely morning. It's a lovely start to the day. Butte's lovely. But it's not going to last terribly long.
We do have a bit of a cold system working its way our direction here for the next, next several days, actually. Enjoy it while you can. Yesterday was the nicest day of the week. Today, not so much. A little cooler out there, as you can see. Belgrade at 50, 55 in Big Timber right now, 36 in West Yellowstone. Some of our daytime highs are not going to be in that neighborhood by Friday. Shower chance today in the Bozeman area, may be warming into the low 70s this afternoon. It will be breezy, downright windy in Butte with gusts up around 45 miles an hour possible. Be ready for that. I have your complete details, Missy, coming up 10 minutes.
Thank you for that, Chet. A story that we've been following for weeks now. The Bozeman School Board has decided to name Robert Connors the next superintendent. MTN's Emma Hamilton was at last night's meeting for the decision and brings us the latest.
The board voted 7-1 Tuesday evening to name Robert Connors as the next superintendent of Bozeman Public Schools. Mr. Connors has been the superintendent of Glasgow Public Schools since 2012 and brings superintendent experience to Bozeman. He has worked in education throughout his entire career and obtained his bachelor's and master's degrees from the University of Montana. Several board members expressed that Mr. Connors was their #1 choice from the 3 finalists. Many board members also expressed that they believe it was a rushed process, while others argued that there is a lot going on in the district and that the district needs a decision maker. The board chair, Andy Willett, told me that that contract will be offered to Mr. Connors immediately, and after negotiations, he has hopes that Mr. Connors can assume his role as the next superintendent by mid-July to the beginning of August. Reporting in Bozeman, Emma Hamilton, MTN News.
The city of Bozeman is preparing to put its official fiscal budget onto paper. But first, the city manager wants to open things up to the public. During the next 2 days, the city will be holding public open houses, starting at the Bozeman Public Library this afternoon, and then to City Hall on Thursday. City manager Andrea Surratt says that the public will get a firsthand look at what the $200 million budget means, including the $80 million portion for the Bozeman's Public Safety Center. Surratt adds that the open house will also get everyone up to speed on the city growth and affordable housing initiatives.
We're managing a lot of growth in Bozeman, and so this budget is starting to reflect that. This is a an important topic, and we always want citizen input. And so if coming to a public hearing is not everyone's favorite thing, then come to one of these open houses.
Now, once again, the first open house will be today at 12:30 at the Public Library. The open house at City Hall will be 5:30 on Thursday evening. And it's been 3 months to the day since the Bogart Park Pavilion shell caved in. Not much has changed since then. A lot of people are wondering what's going on with the repair. MTN's Cody Boyer went back to where it all happened and explains what's happening now.
That's right. You may notice behind me that this scene might actually seem a bit familiar. Now, the only thing that has actually changed here for the Bogart shell is time, and a few more fence posts actually around the outside of the shell to keep people from putting themselves in any possible danger. Now, with the farmers market having just now opened earlier this evening for the first time this summer, actually one park over in Lindley Park, many wonder, what's the holdup?
It's really our only covered space in the wintertime.
Well, the pool is open.
You can't do any better than the pool.
The park is open. Yet 3 months later, the shell still fenced off tight.
And it doesn't look like a whole lot's going on yet.
Christina Rogers is one of many who have enjoyed Bogart Park for decades.
I've been coming to the park for 40-some years. I was so disappointed when the roof collapsed.
And with the Bogart Farmers Market changing venues, she's a little worried.
I'm just kind of concerned about the parking because there isn't a whole lot of parking around Lindley. It's always tough at Sweet Pea time, but at least they're going to still have it.
It's something I've been looking into myself. While more fences have shown up, the shell remains the same as it did in March. Now, the city says these 10 beams are a concern, as they could look like this one here, where the initial collapse happened. You can see that rotten wood. That is why the city does say, while they did not get insurance money, the hope is still a good one.
I think this incident has really elevated that conversation and awareness to really how important these facilities are as a public asset.
John Henderson is the Strategic Services Director for the City of Bozeman.
We've been working hard over those 3 months to obtain cost estimates for repair. We've gone through a local engineering firm who's worked with a local contractor to give us good estimates on a couple of different options.
Options, yes. Insurance coverage, no.
They've just recently given us a determination that they are not going to provide any coverage for this.
Working with the parks and other divisions, Henderson wants to make sure the shell doesn't disappear, but it will be expensive. 6 figures expensive.
We really are taking this seriously and want to make sure that we can repair what's there.
And for those like Christina, they just want the pavilion too.
This part is just pure Bozeman after all these years.
Henderson also told me that his department plans to bring the issue to the Board of Commission in July to see what they can do. I asked him if there's any possibility of losing the shell altogether, and he said that is not a part of the plan. In Bozeman, Cody Boyer, MTN News.
In other news here on your Wednesday morning, the former president of the Northern Cheyenne Tribe faces a hefty fine and possible long prison sentence after pleading guilty to federal charges earlier this week. The charges go back to when Jace Kilsback was health director for the tribe. Kilsback pleaded guilty to charges of wire fraud and conspiracy. Prosecutors stated that Kilsback requested and received reimbursement for official travel from the tribe and federal agencies and then provided false invoices. Court documents do not specify how much money was stolen. Kilsback could face up to 30 years in prison and $500,000 in fines, although prosecutors are expected to ask for a lighter sentence because Kilsback admitted his guilt. His sentencing is set for July 8th. And with budgets tight and crime on the rise, law enforcement agencies across Montana are hoping to get a piece of some federal funding. Local agencies gathered in Missoula for brainstorming sessions with the Department of Justice. On tap, discussing how rural police can find more money through grants in the past year. Montana experienced an increase in crime. More resources could help curb that trend. And the city of Butte is celebrating the millions of dollars to upgrades to Stodden Park. Yesterday, the ribbon-cutting ceremony was near the new playground, which was funded by the Dennis and Phyllis Washington Foundation and Montana Resources. The improved park includes the newly built carousel, the taxpayer-funded outdoor swimming pool, and city officials say that they are happy with the results.
If you look back 3 years ago, we didn't have a pool here. The carousel was in construction. The new entryway was not here, this playground. So the park itself is transformed and really has turned into something special that Butte can be proud of.
The Dennis and Phyllis Washington Foundation also pledged an additional $4.5 million to renovate the clubhouse for the park's golf courses and other upgrades as well. It is time for a quick break. Coming up in just a moment, we're going to take a look at your Treasure State headlines, and then we go international, where former Egyptian President Mohamed Morsi died of a heart attack during his espionage trial. We have the latest on that investigation of his mistreatment in jail and so much more when Montana This Morning continues. But first, let's check in with Gail King to see your headlines coming up at 7 on CBS This Morning.
Ahead on CBS This Morning, what's at stake for our national security, how Patrick Shanahan's abrupt withdrawal as acting defense secretary affects our country at a time of growing tension with Iran, North Korea, and Mexico. Plus, Rita Wilson is here at the table in Studio 57 while she says she hesitated to start her singing career after years of acting on screen. She's good, too. She's got a good voice. We'll see you 7 o'clock on the dot.